In this video, I'm going to review iPostal1 versus AnyTime Mailbox versus a traditional PO Box. And so if you're looking to get a virtual address, whether that's for your personal needs, you're a traveling jet setter, a digital nomad, or you need a business address, you're going to want to lock in and watch this video because it could be the determining factor on whether or not you receive your mail. Let's first talk about iPostal1. The company was founded back in 2007, which means it's been in operation for more than 15 years. They offer more than 4,000 virtual addresses across the world. When you consider their services, they do offer a virtual address, a virtual business address, and a virtual office. And so typically, the virtual address is likely at a mailing center versus the virtual office is going to be a real professional office building. And so the quality of the virtual address is reflected in the price. And so as of today, you can typically get a iPostal1 virtual address for the low cost of $9.99. This is generally perfect for the traveler or digital nomad that just needs a US-based address to receive mail. And so iPostal1 can handle those needs. But if you do happen to be a business owner, iPostal1 can support you in your business needs as well, but it'll be at a higher cost. And so typically on iPostal1, you can find virtual offices that range between $40 to $60. You'll typically pay closer to that $60 if you're looking to receive more mail. And so iPostal1 offers their services based off the amount of mail you expect to receive, as well as the level of professionalism you'll need with that virtual address. And so the highest tier is receiving about 120 pieces of mail and getting a virtual office. And so for me, I would qualify for a more affordable virtual office plan because my business doesn't expect to receive a lot of mail. When it comes to iPostal1's pros, they do have really good customer service, as they have a 4.3 star rating out of over 8,000 reviews on Trustpilot. And most people speak highly of their experience using iPostal1. Plus, they have very good ratings when it comes to using their mobile app. Now let's talk about some of the cons with iPostal1. Some iPostal1 virtual offices have been flagged by banks, which means that that bank might not give you the funding you need for your business. And so for each address that you consider using, especially if you're thinking about using this for your business, you want to run the address on USPS. And so you want to check to see if there's a PMB number, because that means it looks like a mailbox and not a real professional building. So when it comes to iPostal1 for business, you do want to be careful to run some additional checks on that address. And so if you need additional support, I do have free checklists and guides within the Grant House, which is my private business and grant community. I'll have more information linked in the description below. And so overall, iPostal1 has a wide variety of address services. Next, we have a USPS PO Box. And so this has historically been what people have used to receive mail, but there's some problems and some huge setbacks with using it in present day. Traditionally, in order to receive your mail, you would have to take your key, insert it into the keyhole, open up the box, and then see if you received any mail. Plus, FedEx and UPS drivers have been told not to deliver packages to PO boxes. And if you're planning on using a PO box for your business, that also puts your business at risk. Most states will not accept a PO box as an official business address. Knowing what I know now, when I bought a PO box 3 years ago, instead, I would have used one of the virtual address services I'm sharing with you today. And so I personally wouldn't recommend that you use a PO box, considering that virtual address services allow you to receive your mail digitally as well as going in person. And so I know you've heard quite a few cons about a PO box. One of the benefits though of a PO box is that there's over 30,000 post office locations across the US. And so if you live in a place that doesn't have an iPostal1 or an AnyTime Mailbox location nearby, it's more likely that you're able to find a post office. And so in that case, a PO Box is your only option. Now let me share with you some details about AnyTime Mailbox. AnyTime Mailbox was founded back in 2013. They have over 2,500 locations across the world. What I like about AnyTime Mailbox is that they have more international locations than iPostal1. Plus, at times, AnyTime Mailbox can have slightly more affordable prices prices than iPostal1. And so when you consider what people are saying about AnyTime Mailbox, it's pretty good and on par with iPostal1, as AnyTime Mailbox has a 4.2 star rating with over 1,500 reviews. And so I would say most people are happy with their AnyTime Mailbox service. But at the same time, AnyTime Mailbox is not perfect, with a 2.5 star rating on Apple. And so there is room for improvement when it comes to the features and overall navigation of their mobile app. And so when you compare iPostal1 to AnyTime Mailbox, it has more locations and it offers more services within its plan. And so when you compare iPostal1 versus a PO Box versus AnyTime Mailbox, I would say that iPostal1 wins, as generally speaking, iPostal1 has better reviews and has more virtual address locations. And so I would personally recommend iPostal1 out of these three options. But I would say the other two options still do have their benefits. And so before choosing a virtual address, some of the questions you should consider is, do I need a virtual address for my business or for personal reasons? If it's for business, you likely want to go for a virtual office rather than going for a standard virtual address. Another question you want to ask yourself is, how much mail do you plan on receiving? And so typically speaking, if you expect a lot of mail, you want to go for a virtual address service over getting a PO box. Another question you want to consider is, how close do you want the address to be where you're physically located? And so do you want to just hop in your car and drive 10 minutes? Or are you okay driving 30 minutes or an hour? Depending on how close you want the address to be will determine what option you choose.
Since iPostal1 is the best option for your needs, you're going to click the link in the description and it's going to take you straight to this page. This is where you have the option of choosing a plan first or going based off location. I would recommend you choose a location first. And so you have the option of choosing United States or international. We're going to go with United States and then go with the state of Texas. Then it's going to ask us for the city name. I'm going to go with Dallas, Texas, as that's where my business is located. You'll put your location of your business here. Once that loads, it'll give us some options for business addresses. One note to point out is that the $9.99 price tag is for a virtual address, versus the $39.99 is for a virtual office. And so you'll see that later on when you get to the plans. It's just something to take note of. And so what I would recommend for all of these addresses is that you look them up on Google to see what do they actually look like when you go in person. And in fact, if you can, I would recommend driving to that location and seeing what it actually looks like. If that can't happen, then Google Maps is your second best option. I would also do a USPS check on this address to make sure it fits your needs. And so once you find the address that meets your standards, you're going to continue and say, choose this address. And so then it's going to give you the option. You can go with a virtual mailing address, virtual business address, or virtual office. The virtual business address says that you can include it when you register your business. And then a virtual office includes a local or toll-free phone and fax, as well as call forwarding. Because in this specific example, I'm using it for a business address, I'm going to click the virtual office. And so now it's going to ask us how much mail we expect to receive. And it looks like, in fact, they have a higher mailing option than 120 pieces of mail. In fact, they have 240 pieces of mail priced at $69.99. And so you'll choose the plan that fits you best based off how much mail you expect to receive. As of now, I'm going to go with limited mail because I don't expect to receive much. I'm going to click the sign up button. It's then going to take me to this page where I'm going to enter in my name as well as my address, and then I'm going to create login details. And then lastly, it's going to ask for my payment details to confirm that I'm signing up for their virtual office services. And so at the bottom, it just confirms that you understand that it is a monthly reoccurring fee. And so once you check over everything, you make sure you're good with the address as well as the package, you're going to hit create an account at the bottom. And so that's exactly how you would set up a virtual office with iPostal1.
Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and make sure to check out this video right here for the best business bank account.